And let's get more how the severe weather is affecting Lismore in New South Wales. Now, Big Rob is an elected councillor on the Lismore City Council and chairs the council's Flood Management Risk Committee. Big Rob, really good to have you on the program with us. Now, firstly, can you tell us what are the conditions like at the moment where you are, and have they changed at all since yesterday?
Yes, so we had some heavy rain in the last hour and a half, 2 hours, but it's sort of dropped off a bit in Lismore. There's probably some rain falling in the upper catchment, but I'm told on the numbers that's dropped off as well. So our problem is what happens up in the upper catchments comes down into Lismore, and it causes us a lot of problems down here as it all merges, because there's two rivers that merge down here in Lismore CBD area, and then that's when it really has an impact.
Yes, and give us a sense of what you and the community has been doing to further prepare for what might happen tomorrow.
Well, I've been very impressed with the community. So for the CBD, for example, all the shops have really emptied out and packed up and moved out. So that's pretty good. They've moved out very early. I'm surprised how early it went. So I thought they wouldn't do it until tonight, but they were out pretty much by yesterday. The SES put out these evacuation warnings to get everyone out of North Lismore, South Lismore, sections of East Lismore and the Lismore CBD. And everyone heeded those, or I think most people heeded those warnings. There's probably still a few people in their homes. They had the evacuation centres open there. They're full of people. Or the one at SCU, there's one there. Everyone seems to be in good spirits and everything seems to be well run. I think we learned a lot from 2022 and the way that they're implementing all the support. There's a lot of support here. SES, Army, the people that I can't remember what they're called. The people that run the evacuation centre, they're there. Everyone's doing a good job so far.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. Have you had a chance to visit those evacuation centres?
I went and had a look. I didn't want to go in because I'm pretty high profile in the area, and everyone sort of thinks, I don't want to be on camera or something like that, because I share a lot of stuff online. So I sort of went out and had a look, and I was outside and I spoke to a couple of people. And I was at a press conference today, and they told us how well they were being operated, and that was good news to hear that everyone was in good spirits. They have separate rooms for different needs, that sort of thing, which is not having everyone in one room is good. So it's interesting to see that it's all working. We haven't really needed them yet, so we haven't had an levy overtopping event, but North and South Lismore are areas which are much more low-lying, and they do need to get out sooner, so in some sections.
Yes, and how are you dealing with the fact that, and other residents dealing with the fact that there's been so much uncertainty about how this cyclone is moving? Because, we heard that the cyclone could have hit late Thursday, now it's Saturday morning, and who knows what the following updates might be. How are you sort of dealing with that delay, I suppose?
Yeah, well, see, the uncertainty is probably being the biggest problem for a lot of people. A lot of people are still anxious and quite stressed out from 2022. A lot of people haven't recovered from that, and they probably won't ever, because every time it rains, I get people calling me saying, is it going to flood? It's like raining for 10 minutes, and people are already checking what's going to happen. So that's a big concern. They have everyone so on edge, I guess. And to have it go for so long and drag on, it's just we want to get it over and done with and get back to our normal lives. It's probably been better because it looks like the good old Alfred, everyone keeps calling him Albert for some reason. Alfred is moving further north, which is better for us, I think, because we'll get less of the tail and less of the weather, and I think he's getting weaker. So that's good news, because it's good news for Queensland as well. Obviously, where it's going to cross the coast, it won't do as much damage and cause as much issues. But it has already caused a lot of issues, coastline erosions, all sorts of damage. Trees have come down. We've had all that. We've got localised flooding at the moment in our CBD, but that's more because of our mitigation infrastructure is not keeping up with the level of rain that we had in the last couple of hours. So these are all issues that are just specific to Lismore, though.
Yes, of course. And, you mentioned earlier that residents there and also in the evacuation centres, they are in good spirits at the moment. How are they able to, keep up those good spirits? And, what sort of advice can you give other communities that may never have experienced flooding of the scale?
Look, I haven't spoken to everyone in that centre, but I did, when the previous flood happened in 22, I spent quite a lot of time at the one of the big centres, and I think the way everyone keeps in good spirits from when I was up there is that they just talk to each other. You got people to talk to, share a coffee with, share your stress levels with. We haven't had the impact of the event yet, so this is just a pretty sort of warm-up. So that's, I guess, no one's really had any shock hit to their system yet, besides having to move out of their home or choosing to move out of their home yesterday and or even today, and going up to these centres to get comfortable in case we had an overtopping event or it goes through their houses in North and South Lismore and some parts of East Lismore. So everyone's just really ready, and I think it's over ready, to be honest. So we don't even know if it's actually going to come over the levee to inundate the CBD. And I always refer to the levee, and I must say we always forget about the people up in the upper catchment and on the farmland who support our CBD and all our people, and they work in here and they provide food and everything. They're getting hammered up there as well. And I saw some aerial shots today that we shared that showed the level of the rivers coming up and the brown water, which is all the runoff off the land coming. That ends up down here. But they get impacted up there well before we get impacted down here. So it's a local government area-wide issue, but we always seem to forget about those up the top. And so I'm hoping they're all in good spirits as well. And if there's anything that they need, we can all help each other by just being there for each other.
Yes, of course. And this might be another occasion after the 2022 flooding that the Wilson River levee could be breached. And from what's expected is about 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. How concerning is that to you? And what perhaps needs to be done for this to be avoided in such devastating weather events? Well,
I'm one of the ones that I'm not concerned about the overtopping unless there's a massive amount of rainfall overnight. I've done my numbers. We do these calculations to know hours to overtopping, and based on, we just had 28 centimetres of rain in 1 hour there, probably an hour ago now, maybe a bit more. I'm just looking at the time. And if we had 28 centimetres of rain at that level, we still have 12 and a half hours before overtopping, and that's if it's consistently increasing at 28 centimetres an hour. Now I'm outside the gauge now. It's 3.37 metres to overtopping. There's a gauge here where I'm sitting that says it lets us know how long it is before it'll come over this levee that I'm sitting beside. So that's a lot. 3.37 metres is a lot, and a lot of people forget. So at the start of it, to get from the high tide of whatever 1 metre to 4 metres is very quick, and the reason that is obviously it's much thinner at the bottom of the river, and then it comes wider as it gets out of the riverbanks, and then it spreads out over the land. And the higher it goes, the much more water you need. So in our favour, as it's getting higher, we need more and more rain. And if we're not getting that, we're not going to keep going as high as a lot of people are suggesting it could get to. And fingers crossed that's the case. And I think you asked me what we can do to try and stop this happening in the future. A lot of people speak about nature-based solutions. That's great. We do need that, but we also need some engineering solutions. And things like redirecting water or detention basins, retention basins, things like that, where the water can sit in valleys that are just grass valleys or something until most of the event or most of the level is dropped. And then that water can be either, if there's a mechanical gate on it, released, or it can naturally evaporate or come down as it has the availability to come out. But we need to look at these options, because we can slow it down up the top and speed it up down the bottom, and we can really do some good things with flood mitigation strategies.
Okay, Big Rob, wish you and all other residents in Lismore all the best for tomorrow and overnight. And thank you so much for your time today.
All right, thank you very much.